Every year, tons of pharmaceutical drugs are used worldwide. In 2020 alone, over 1 trillion euros was globally spent on medication. These include painkillers, hormonal treatments, blood pressure pills, anti-inflammatories, and so on. No drug could do its job effectively if it didn't contain substances specifically designed to interact with live cells. When we ingest these drugs, we treat our ailments, but when they get dumped into landfills and water bodies, they start to affect other organisms in ways they were not designed to.
Farmaceitiski aktīvās vielas nonākot vidē darbojas tieši tāpat kā uz cilvēkiem, bet tas iedarbības veids nav prognozējams un zināms. Turklāt ne tikai farmaceitiski aktīvās vielas, bet arī to metabolīti, kas tiek pārstrādāti cilvēku organismos, var radīt negatīvas ietekmes tur mītošajiem organismiem. Kas ar farmaceitiski aktīvām vielām ir būtiski, ir tas, ka viņas tiek veidotas, sākotnēji sintezētas un ražotas ar mērķi ietekmēt cilvēka šūnu. Un nonākot vidē, viņas tieši tādā pašā veidā mērķiecīgi ietekmē organismu šūnas. Un kādas būs šīs ietekmes, to patiesībā grūti prognozēt. Bet tas, ka tas piesārņojums ir liekas dabā, tas ir skaidrs, tāpat kā jebkurš cits piesārņojums, ko radīs cilvēks.
Pharmaceuticals affect living organisms at various levels. Aquatic organisms are particularly susceptible. For example, studies show that some fish have been observed undergoing a gender transition due to hormonal drugs in the water. The effects of these substances can be very diverse.
Var ietekmēt letāli, tas, kas nozīmē, ka organisms iet bojā. Tie var būt reproduktīvās sistēmas traucējumi, kustību inhibīcija, jeb palēlināšanās un pātrināšanās. Kustoties ātrāk, viņi ātrāk patērē savu enerģiju, kas nozīmē, viņiem būtu vairāk jāēd. Ja lēnāk, piemēram, zooplanktona organismi nespēja tik labi izvairīties no plēsējiem, zivīm, kas viņus ēd.
These effects can have ramifications for an entire ecosystem. They can alter the relationship between predator and prey, which will then have an effect on the prevalence of certain species and the kinds of diseases they face.
Farmaceitiski aktīvās vielas vidē nonāk galvenokārt divos veidos, kas ir caur notekūdeņa attīrīšanas iekārtām. Ja cilvēks tās uzņem un metabolizē, savukārt otrs ir šis veids, ja tās tiek nepareizi utilizētas, kas nozīmē, tās tiek izmestas miskastē un pēc tam nonāk atkrituma poligonā, vai arī ir šī pieredze, kad noskalot toaletes podos, kur patiesībā, ja uzņemot cilvēku organismā, kas mums ir nepieciešams, ja mēs sevi ārstējam, mēs metabolizējam, tad šī koncentrācija stipri samazinās. Bet, ja zāles nonāk tieši vidē, tad šī koncentrācija ir stipri lielāka. Un ietekmes arī.
Recently, scientists have found different kinds of pharmaceuticals also in the environment in Estonia. Analysis from inland samples and also the Baltic Sea coastal zone show that the most widespread medicines are those that are most often consumed.
The APIs were detected from rivers, levels, coastal waters, wastewater treatment plant, influent, effluent, sediments, all the pharmaceuticals that were studied. There was around 80 APIs, and it was representing antibiotics, anti-epileptics, asthma, allergy medications, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, also, of course, hormones, some psychopharmaceuticals and veterinary medicines. But this research was only about 80 APIs. We still have more than 2,000 different pharmaceuticals used for human and veterinary consumption. So the analytical methods, of course, should be further developed to be able to make more comprehensive estimates of total levels, of API levels in the environment. In the end of last year, there was one survey conducted by Roche Estonia in cooperation with Estonian Association of Water Companies. And it showed that the general awareness is quite average. According to the survey, it turns out that half of Estonian population does not know what to do with old medicines. So this is a problem. But on the other hand, it was good to find out that the survey revealed that half of the respondents have handled old or unused medicines correctly and taken to them to the pharmacy or waste stations. But at the same time, it must be acknowledged also that pharmacies also have room for improvement in organizing take-back.
To reduce the amount of pharmaceuticals that can be found in nature, communication and legislation can play a crucial role. But also technical solutions like advanced wastewater treatment need to be considered. Wastewater treatment plants are an important intermediary between the source of pollution and its effects. Despite the overall effective removal of various kinds of pollution and nutrients, pharmaceuticals pose a particular challenge to wastewater treatment.
Pharmaceuticals have different chemical structures, which determines how successfully they can be removed in a wastewater treatment plant. Some pharmaceuticals are not significantly removed during wastewater treatment, such as the painkiller diclofenac, and leave the treatment plant in the same concentrations they entered it. Other pharmaceuticals can be removed during wastewater treatment, such as hormones or ibuprofen, but not always to concentrations at which they no longer pose a risk for the aquatic life in the receiving water bodies.
As wastewater treatment plants are currently not designed to remove all the different types of pharmaceuticals. Therefore, additional treatment technologies are needed to provide effective barriers for the pharmaceuticals as the usage of pharmaceuticals is expected to further increase in aging society.
Several methods for reducing pharmaceuticals in wastewater treatment plant discharge already exist. On the one hand, pharmaceuticals can be destroyed, for example through ozonation. On the other hand, they can be removed from the water, for example through the use of activated carbon or membranes. Of course, each removal technology has its benefits and costs. Therefore, each wastewater treatment plant operator or utility needs to determine which technology is most suitable for it based on the existing infrastructure, the desired water quality, the local energy prices, as well as other factors.
Each wastewater treatment plant operator or utility can decide on their own technical solution by choosing from the different technologies. Numerous examples of successful implementation within the municipal wastewater treatment plants can be found in countries like Switzerland and Germany.
Both Switzerland and Germany have been researching and testing technologies for pharmaceutical removal for over a decade. Based on their positive findings, more and more wastewater treatment plants have installed these technologies over the last few years. In Switzerland, a law requiring the removal of 80% of 12 pharmaceuticals at up to 180 wastewater treatment plants was passed in 2016, while in Germany installation is currently still voluntary. Full-scale installations also already exist in Linköping in Sweden and in Kalundborg in Denmark. These examples show that it's financially, technically, and physically possible to remove pharmaceuticals when legal requirements and the motivation for improving the environment exist.
Pharmaceutical drugs are consumed by a notable amount of the population, and this amount is still increasing due to the aging of society. Researchers in CWPharma 2 have made several recommendations for curbing pharmaceutical pollution. One of the solutions is continued education, but it is also important to develop methods for appropriately disposing of pharmaceutical waste. Hospitals are a testbed for seeing how well certain algorithms can help in curbing pollution. A single pill from a hospital can become a dangerous vector for pollution.
Šo nederīgo tableti mēs utilizējam bīstamu atkritumu konteinerā, Attiecīgi tālāk mums ir bīstamu atkritumu apkalpotājs, kas šos atkritumus arī kā bīstamus tālāk izved. Ja mēs runājam par šiem te ampulām, kapsulām un tā tālāk, skaidrs, ka tas apjoms, kas aiziet bīstamos atkritumos, ir liels. Šie te aptuveni 150 000 vienības, tas ir daudz. Protams, ka bez šādiem rīcības algoritmiem noteikti tas nevarētu notikt, jo tad šie te zāļu atlikumi nonāktu ar sadzīves atkritumiem nonāktu vidē.
The volume of pharmaceutical waste is significant. However, it is important not to downplay the effects of household waste as well. It is therefore important to use pharmaceuticals as they were intended, not to stockpile them at home. When the time comes to dispose of them, this should be done accordingly to the country's regulations.